42-inch snapper. Milkshake's personal favorite. Got this old Troy built. This one my dad picked up at an auction a couple of years ago, maybe. Year before last, maybe a little longer than that. Just tilled the garden yesterday with it. We had a little rain last night. I put my pepper plants in. This is my other 42-inch snapper. I overfilled it with oil. That's why it's dripping and leaking. I need to wash it off, clean it up. This is another snapper I got. 8 horsepower, recoil and electric start. This one's recoil and electric also. I'm jumping around. I just mowed with this one. Been sitting for 2 years. Real King battery. I wouldn't think it would have cranked it, but it fired right up. I left the battery hooked up and all the gas run into the engine, so I had to change the oil. Had gas in it, but luckily all the gas run out of the carburetor, so I had no problem with that. I got this engine from a buddy of mine. It was on a Craftsman lawnmower that he had for, I don't know, he said maybe 10 or 12 years, maybe a little longer than that. And he gave me the lawnmower, and he said the engine runs great. And I was like, well, okay. 14.5 horsepower. It really does work, this mower. It's a good mower. It cuts good. I have run this thing and run it and run it and run it. I've had this for several years. I had it before this engine was on it. It seemed like this had a Wisconsin Robin on it. Big motor. And it might have been a twin cylinder. Now back to this one. A buddy of mine sold me this one at a good deal. This mower's in good shape. I burned the belt off of it. The belt was old already. Probably might have been the original belt that was on it, but it was an old belt, dry rotted. I got a new belt for it. I need to put on it. I haven't cranked this one yet. I lost the choke linkage. I worked on it and I lost that choke linkage. It does crank and run. Well, it should. I got to get a piece of choke linkage for it, and that should fix that. This has got that high vac deck on it now. Good, bad, whatever. I can't remember if this is 28 or 30 inch. I think it's 28. But the high vac decks, the bottom of the deck kind of has a little, instead of being just flat like that, it's got a little lip under the end of it around this bottom edge right here. Kind of I guess it lets it seal up, but the problem with that is, I guess you should say watch where you mow. But if you hit like a root or something like that around a tree, or a rock sticking up, or loading it on and off the trailer or something, and you drag it, a lot of times these decks will bend a little bit and then the blade will hit it. It's real close tolerance with the blade in there, and I don't like that. And then the other thing is these things throw grass everywhere, and because they do have a lot of lift, and I don't like this. The chute, you have to sort of tie it up. That's what that wire's on there for. I didn't put that on there, but anybody who's ever used one of these knows if you don't kick it up just a little bit, they'll choke, because it ain't got a whole lot of clearance to throw the grass out. I do have a bag catching system for that one. I'd say it will probably work for this one. And but this one is good because it's a single blade and you can really get up on the hillside with it. See, the decks on these sort of stick out on the sides, which is good. I like it because you can get up against stuff. The deck on this one is pretty tight, and I've actually got off of this one and walked it across the hillside and mowed with it, and they mow good. But you can't beat a snapper. They're tough. The old Troy built, working good. My pepper plants is out here. About all my squash and zucchini have come up. Planted a bunch of acorn squash, and a neighbor of mine gave me some of it. It was a patty pan. It's a white squash. It's on the same order as a acorn squash. It keeps for a long time. I like crooked neck, straight, squash, all that. But boy, I tell you, when you pick it it don't last long. You know, you can't keep it very well. Or if somebody knows how to keep it, let me know. But if you freeze it and stuff, it gets mushy. And that patty pan squash and that acorn squash, the acorn squash is good in soup. And that patty pan is a white squash, and it's flat. It's really a pretty squash. I thought it was a gourd, and it may be a gourd. I don't know what squash. But anyway, I take that patty pan and I'll cut the little center out of it, and I'll cut it up in cubes and put it in a pan with a little rotel. And boy, I tell you what, that is delicious. It stays kind of crisp, you know, stays firm sort of. So it's actually really good. But I got 2 rows of peppers down there. I got Thai chilies and habaneros and sweet bananas, and man, it's all kinds of peppers down there. Bell peppers, red bell peppers, and anyway, I'll have to get